now we'll move on to our speaker, Nancy Batty, who is just flying along with her speeches, building her confidence, and again, first place in the evaluation contest, so she'll be general evaluator later. But for her speech today, the title of the speech is Wheelchair Accessible Washrooms Are Meant for Those with a Disability. It's 5 to 7 minute speech. It's her 10th speech, but the 9th speech in the manual. Nancy's goal is to inspire you to another level of gratitude for the abilities you have in your own life that perhaps you take for granted or you're not even aware of. Persuade with Power is aimed at offering some compelling insight related to physical attributes that may be taken for granted. Nancy has a call to action for each of you as she explains one of the many reasons that wheelchair accessible washrooms are meant for those with a disability. So now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nancy.
I'm Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. You ever heard that expression, when you gotta go, you gotta go? Have you ever experienced that expression? Robin Williams, pardon me, is one of my favorite comedians. And I remember years ago listening to him. I was laying on the couch and listening to him. I don't remember what the jokes were, but he cracked me up. The jokes got funnier and funnier and funnier. Before I knew it, I was like doubled over, tears rolling down my eyes, my ribs were killing me. I laughed so hard I actually fell off the couch. When I regained myself, I got up off the floor. I had to go with all the water I've been drinking while I've been listening to the jokes. Some of you had the privilege a couple of weeks ago to meet my daughter, Christine. And I intentionally use the word privilege because it truly was a privilege to meet Christine. She and her twin sister were born 3.5 months early, and as a result of their premature birth, they have a diagnosis of cerebral palsy. As a result of that, they both require wheelchairs for their mobility. They have no sitting or standing balance. If they don't have the ability to get in the chair on their own, they either have to be lifted by 2 people up and over into the chair or by the use of a mechanical lift. Now, Christine has a great sense of humor. Great sense of humor. And I can get her laughing pretty fast, pretty hard, especially when I'm convincing her how funny I am. And we've had many, many experiences of being at the mall, just having fun, having a good time, and I'll get her laughing. And before I know it, she's sitting in her chair and she's laughing and her ribs are hurting. She's like, Mom, stop, like, I gotta go. So let me tell you, when you're in a wheelchair, that expression, when you gotta go, takes on a whole new meaning. First of all, we have to find where the washroom is in the mall. And then when we get there, we have to hope that there is first a wheelchair accessible spot, which just means the stall is bigger. Second of all, we have to hope that it's not in use. And third of all, we have to hope that 3 of us are going to fit in there, because remember, we need 2 people to lift her up and in and out of her chair. So this has happened to us many times, and we've gone into the washroom and we've had moms in there that find it a perfect opportunity to practice potty training. We've found pregnant women in there because they take up a little bit more space than the average woman, so for convenience and ease, they decide, not a bad idea. And then we have women that have gone shopping, got a little bit crazy, and they have all these extra shopping bags. Well, why not? You've got this extra space. Now remember, Christine's still sitting in a wheelchair, and she has to go to the washroom. The reason we need extra space is as I operate her electric chair and bring her in, we have to have the ability to back her chair into the stall, and then depending on where the toilet's lined up in the washroom, that will dictate what side of the toilet that I line her chair up to. Based on that information, that dictates how high both of the people, we have to lift her up over out of her chair to the toilet. Because she has a hand rest on this side, and on this side is the operating mechanism, which has to be be turned off so that we don't inadvertently bump it while we're in the process of transferring her. So we're lined up to the toilet, and now what's going to happen is I'm going to lean over, we're going to undo her belt, I'm going to wrap my arms around her, so her back is going to come to my chest. The other person that's aiding is going to be in the front, and they're going to squat down and lift up her legs. And on the count of 3, we're going to go up, over, and we're going to get to the toilet. And while I'm doing this, I've already straddled the toilet because we have just a little bit of space. And I need to find a way to turn, lift up and over, not twist my hips, my shoulder, or my back, injure myself or injure her. So now we're ready to go. We're going to come up, over to the toilet. We're going to find a way to get her up enough that we can lower her garments. We're going to get her back on the toilet, allow her to do her thing. And now remember, there's 3 of us in here. She doesn't have any privacy. And I'm needing to balance her somehow so that she doesn't fall off because, again, she doesn't have any standing or sitting balance. So we let her do her thing. Now we need to do the reverse. We need to get her up, pull her garments back up, get her up, over, back into the chair. And because of what she needs to do to shuffle her place in and get herself positioned with her hips and her back, her legs and everything else, we need to allow her chair to go into a tilt, which means we need that extra space. It's a bit complicated and it's exhausting. My challenge for each of you is to consider if you had a family member, a spouse, or a child that needed the use of a wheelchair, and you're at the mall and you're having fun, public place, and you're laughing, and then all of a sudden, like you had to go. What would you do if you walked into the washroom and you didn't have the space available? The bigger challenge is, what if because the space wasn't available, the person that you're there to aid had an accident? How are you going to maintain their dignity when you leave not only the washroom, but the mall to get them home to a place that they can be cleaned up and do whatever that is that they need to do? Robin Williams is one of my favorite comedians, and I don't know who tickles your fancy. The next time you are at the mall or wherever it is that you are and you start laughing and you do have to go to the washroom, my compelling message for you is just a reminder that wheelchair-accessible washrooms are meant for those with a disability. So if you get in there and you gotta go, just please wait, because you never know when someone might actually need the washroom.
And now I'd like to introduce Rick.